We, in the developed world, are like homeowners who have inherited a house on a piece of land that is beautiful on the outside, but whose soil is unstable loam and rock, heaving and contracting over generations, cracks patched, but the deeper ruptures waved away for decades, centuries even. Many people may rightly say, I had nothing to do with how all of this started. I have nothing to do with the sins of my past. My ancestors never attacked indigenous people, never owned slaves. And yes, not one of us was here when this house was built. Our immediate ancestors may have had nothing to do with it, but here we are, the current occupants of a property with stress cracks and bowed walls and fissures built into the very foundation. We are the heirs to whatever is right or wrong with it. We did not erect the uneven pillars or joists, but they are ours to deal with now. And any further deterioration is, in fact, on our hands. For me, this is one of the most impactful quotes from American Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Isabella Wilkerson's wonderfully compelling book, Caste: The Origins of Our Discontents. In this work, she equates the origins of America to India's caste system. She argues that the complexities of race and class that we experience here, along with the multitude of other identities and intersectionalities, is really best described as a caste system, keeping many of us in our presumed lower place while upholding power and prosperity for an upper caste. I believe our nation faces a moral decision this Tuesday and the potentially many days after. Do we allow fascism and hate to continue to permeate into the lives of all of our people, or do we instead embrace hope and care for everyone that dwells in this old house? When I first read this passage from Isabella Wilkerson, it brought back to mind an old gospel song my grandfather used to sing by, I believe, Brenda Lee, featuring Dolly Parton, called "This Old House." It had been years since I had heard it or even remembered this song, and so I had to Google it. In it, the singer laments about how old their home is and what terrible problems they have, but that none of those things really mattered because they were dying and they had a better afterlife awaiting them. I realized that this song no longer held the same comfort to me that it did all those many years ago. There was, for me, there maybe still is somewhere deep inside, something comforting in a belief that all of this, everything that we experience in this world, the pain, the joy, and everything in between, is all just a road to some metaphysical afterlife where all is well. I remember the comfort of this belief. I can feel the comfort of this belief. It allowed me to, much like the singer of the song, sit in complacency right in the middle of my broken down, rickety house and not move a single muscle to make it any better. But if there is such a thing as a born-again Unitarian Universalist, well, then I guess that's what I am. I no longer crave for a heavenly home in some faraway afterlife. Instead, I'm very concerned for the manifestation of a beloved community right here, right now. I believe that as Unitarian Universalists, this is our good news. And it needs to be shouted from the rooftop, even the roof of this dilapidated house that we currently inhabit. I believe we are in the battle for the soul of our country. Yes, it is an old, rundown house. The doors squeak with racism. The windows allow in the cold air of classism, and the roof leaks with sexism, heterosexism, and gender norms. But it is the house in which we are all living. And as Unitarian Universalists, we are all connected in sharing this home. Our place in the American caste system is the underlying reason that some of us constantly have to put buckets on the floor to collect water from the leaking ceiling, while many others never realize the roof is leaking at all. Isabella Rilkelson reminds me again in her book that unaddressed, the ruptures and diagonal cracks will not fix themselves. The toxins will not go away, rather will spread, leach, and mutate as they already have. When people live in an old house, they come to adjust to the idiosyncrasies and outright dangers skulking in an old structure. They put buckets under a wet ceiling, prop up groaning floors, learn to step over that rotting wood tread in the staircase. The awkward becomes acceptable, and the unacceptable becomes merely inconvenient. Live with it long enough, and the unthinkable becomes normal. Exposed over the generations, we learn to believe that the incomprehensible is the way that life is supposed to be. For the past 4 years, we have witnessed the manifestations of this warning. The incomprehensible is the way that life is supposed to be. We shouldn't care for others by wearing masks and reducing time together in indoor spaces. We don't need to provide living wages, nor health care, nor solid retirement, nor food, nor housing to people. And our country is certainly not sitting on a rotting foundation of genocide and enslavement of others that needs to be addressed. No, the incomprehensible is the way that life is supposed to be. Tweets are approved messages from leadership, science is irrelevant, partisan politics are the norm, and human decency be damned. Ain't gonna need this house no longer. Ain't gonna need this house no more. Ain't got time to fix the shingles. Ain't got time to fix the floors. I ain't got time to oil the hinges, nor to mend the window panes. Ain't gonna need this house much longer. I'm getting ready to meet the saints. These are the words from that old gospel hymn, and they echo in my heart as Tuesday approaches. I pray for our nation. I pray that we reject the gospel of this song, which I see rooted in complacency and ignorance, and instead we find some way to collectively embrace the hope-filled message of Isabella Wilkerson as she warns from the pages of her book. Choose not to look at your broken house at your own peril. The owner of an old house knows that whatever you are ignoring will never go away. Whatever is lurking will fester, whether you choose to look at it or not. Ignorance is no protection from the consequences of inaction. Whatever you are wishing away will gnaw at you until you gather the courage to face what you would rather not see. May each of us and those in our country who have courage, we all need it on Tuesday, to vote out hate and bigotry and lies and embrace a more perfect union, recognizing the flaws of our past and striving truly for liberty and justice for all. Let us remain solid as a rock, rooted like a tree. I am here, standing strong in my rightful place.